All right, fifth grade, it's our language time. It is Wednesday, the 1st of April, 2020. We are looking at pages 112 to 114 today. A lot of it is review. I'm going to go over the new information with you. And then the review should be fine with. Know that you can look back at your book at any examples in your book or any sections that we've already done or looked at before at any time. So we're on page 112 and we're going to compare adverbs. We compared adjectives in our last lessons, and now we're going to look at adverbs, okay? So let's look at page 112. I have some examples on the board. I'm going to read over the directions with you. Number 1 says, adverbs of one syllable form the comparative and superlative degrees in the same way as adjectives by adding er or est. So, for example, the adverb fast, positive would be fast. Remember we talked about the dog Spot? So we'll say Spot is fast, not comparing Spot to anything, his speed to anything. The comparative would be Spot is faster than Rex. And the superlative would be Spot is the fastest dog on his block, okay? Comparing 3 or more things. So positive, no comparison. Comparative, comparing one thing to another. And superlative, comparing 3 or more things. And by things, I mean adverbs. We're talking about adverbs, okay? So section number 2 says, most adverbs ending in ly form the comparative with more and the superlative with most in front of those words. So we know that, we've learned that most adverbs do end in ly, not all, but most. And so you would put more in front of the comparative adverb or most in front of the superlative adverb. And you see your examples. The adverb in the example is beautifully. So the positive is beautifully. The comparative would be more beautifully, and the superlative would be most beautifully. All right, we're going to put that into practice in a minute. It's pretty self-explanatory. Number 3, never use double comparisons, such as more before an adverb ending in er or most before an adverb ending in est. So if the adverb is, if the word is pretty, you wouldn't say more prettier or the most prettier. You just say prettier, all right? So I'm going to say that one again. Never use double comparisons such as more before an adverb ending in er or est. So the adverb above in number 1 was fast, so you wouldn't say more faster. I run more faster than he does or she does. Or I'm the most fastest. You would just say faster and fastest. So when you have adverbs ending in er for the comparative or est for the superlative, you do not put more or most in front of them. But if they are typical adverbs that end in ly, you would. Okay? So look at number 4. Irregular adverbs form their comparative and superlative by using different words altogether. So remember, irregular means that there's not as many adverbs that are irregular. Okay, most of them will follow a particular pattern, a particular form. But there are some that are irregular. Remember, I told you that the English language is really difficult to learn because we have these rules, but then they're changed all the time. So they are irregular, meaning not as regular as most adverbs, all right? So let's look at some of these, and you've heard these words, and you use them all the time. So now you know that those are irregular adverbs. So the example is positive is well, not comparing well to anything. Comparative would be better, not weller. And the superlative would be best, okay? So in a sentence, maybe let's talk about your math test you took last week. You could say, I did well on my math test. For comparative, I did better on math test number 12 than I did on number 11. Or for superlative, I did my best math test last Friday, meaning comparing all of the math tests you've taken. Okay, so that's with the positive well. The positive much, okay, just positive much. comparative, more, superlative, most. Okay, I'm going to say that one again. The positive is much. Okay, I ate too much. Comparative, I ate more today than I did yesterday. Superlative, I ate the most on Friday. Okay, comparing Friday to all the other days of the week. The positive is little. The comparative is less, not littler. And the superlative is least, not littlest. That's not what we're talking about when it's an adverb, all right? Then positive, badly. You don't say badlier or badliest. You use a totally different word. Remember, these are irregular adverbs, so you'd say the positive is badly, but the comparative is worse, and the superlative is worst. All right? So let's look at some other adverbs. And these you'll know just because you use them all the time. But we're going to use the rules. If it ends in ly, we're going to put more or most, more in front of the comparative, and most in front of the superlative, or we're going to use a totally different word potentially. All right? So I put, I could fit the first, 6 on the board there. So we're going to work on those. Let me get out of the way. So we have the positive is wisely. So we're going to follow. Look at number 2. Most adverbs ending in ly form the comparative with more and the superlative with most. So it ends in ly. The word is wisely. So the positive is wisely. Okay, so I'm going to put wisely here. That's the positive. I just put the words over here so you can see them. And then the comparative would be, good, more wisely. I'm just capitalizing these so you can see them. And the superlative would be most wisely. All right? Number 2, we're going to follow the same rule because it ends in ly. The positive is quickly, so we have quickly there. The comparative would be more quickly. And like I said, I'm only writing these in capitals so you can see them clearly. And the superlative would be most quickly. All right? Now the next word says late. All right? So it doesn't end in ly, so we're not going to put more or most in front of it. We're going to follow the typical rule, which is putting an er when we're comparing, and when it's superlative, an est. So positive would be late, comparative would be later, and the superlative would be latest. All right? What's the next word there? Then we have cheaply. Follow the pattern. We put cheaply as our positive. Then more cheaply. Whoops. And then, there you go, most cheaply. Okay? Now, the next word is cleverly. So we're going to follow the, can you see that down there? Let me double check. Yep. And then we have comparative, more cleverly, and most. I'm sorry, it's hard to write neatly when you're hanging on the board so it doesn't fall over. Now, the next word is more. Are we going to say more in comparative or moreist? No, we're going to use a totally different word. I'm sorry, it's much. I gave away the answer. Forgive me. Forgive me. So we have much. All right? So we're not going to say mucher and muchest. Like I said, I gave you the answer. Our positive is what? What's the word? Okay, much. And then our comparative would be more. Good. And our superlative would be most. Okay? All right, so I guess I didn't need to write in capital letters. It looks like you can see that okay. That's good. All right, so let's go on. Number 7, the word is nobly. So it's going to follow the more and the most rule. So our comparative would be good, more nobly. And our superlative would be, there you go, most nobly. The next word, The next word, near. Okay, positive is near. The comparative would be good, nearer. And the superlative would be nearest. Now, number 9, badly. Are we going to use badlier? No, we already have that up above in the directions for number 4 up above. It says badly. We use a totally different word. For comparative, we'd use worse, good, and superlative, worst. And then again, up above, we're using some of the words from up above here. The positive is well. And for comparative, we'd say better. And superlative, we'd say best. All right? So let's look at page 113. It says in the blank, write the correct form of the adverb, which is given at the end of the sentence. So I want you to do that on your own. Think about what we've done here and the rules. You should be fine with that. And then for write C, it says, read the directions below, write your sentences on notebook paper. You can fill them right in there like we usually do under the number. Okay, so we don't have to waste paper. It says write a sentence using the superlative of often. Often. Is it going to be oftenest? No, it's going to be good. Most often. Okay, superlative. Write a sentence using comparative of well. We did that on the other page, on page 112, so you can look at the comparative of that. And then remember D, we're going to write plurals for the word ox, Chinese, valley, and hutch. So that's review. Then E, underline the correct word or words in parentheses. So it gives you, do I use the positive? Do I use the comparative? Do I use the superlative? So let's look at number 1 so I can give you an example. It says that speaker talks more louder or louder than Mr. Lincoln. What sounds right to you? Louder. Good. Remember, because words that end when ER or EST, which follow that typical form, adverbs, you do not put more or most in front of them. It's when they end in ly, like cheaply and cleverly, etc. All right, so you would underline the word louder. Let's look at number 4. It says, of all the performers, Melanie sang more beautifully or most beautifully. Now you're comparing Melanie to all the performers, so that's more than just another performer. So we use which degree? Good, the superlative. That's when you compare 3 or more. So it would be, of all the performers, Melanie sang most beautifully. So you'd underline most beautifully. All right? Now let's jump down to number 9. It says, who can write best, Kate or Rob? Now you're comparing Kate to Rob, just comparing one person to another. Or who can write better? Which one forms the comparative? Okay, good. It's better. Best is the superlative, but we're not comparing 3 or more people. We're just comparing Kate to Rob. All right, so you should do fine on that section. Go back and look on page 112 if you have questions about what superlative means or comparative or positive, but you probably don't. You probably shouldn't. And then on page 114, it says think A, put a C for correct if all of the modifiers in each sentence are used correctly. Put an I for incorrect if the sentence is incorrect, and prepare to tell your teacher how to make it right. You don't have to worry about that. You can talk to your parents about it, but unfortunately I'm not with you to do that. So you're going to find if it is correct, you put a C next to it. If it's incorrect, you put an I, and you would make it correct right in your book. So let's look at the first one. It says, Kristen had a cold last week and still does not seem very well. Now she's using the word well correctly. It refers to how you feel, like health-wise. So if somebody says, you're not supposed to say like, I don't feel good, but we say that all the time. We say, I don't feel well. All right? So she is using the correct word well to reveal how she's feeling physically. Okay? So look at number 2. So that's correct. Number 2 says, I need some advice bad. Okay, we might talk like that, but it's not proper English. So we would put an I there. Would you agree? And we change it to, I need some advice badly. All right? Look at number 3. Faith did good on her piano solo. Now, do we use good or well when it refers to ability? We use well. So that would be incorrect. And it should be Faith did well on her piano solo. So just put a line through good and write well above it. In number 2, put a line through bad and write badly above it. Okay, I'm going to say that again. So when it's incorrect, put an I in the blank, put a line through the word that's incorrect, and write the correct word on top of it. Again, number 2, I need some advice bad. That's not correct, so we should have put a line through the word bad and write badly above it. And number 3, Faith did good on her piano lesson. That's not the correct word to use. Put a line through good and write well above it. All right? And then think B, you're forming the, you're comparing adjectives and adverbs, the positive, comparative, superlative. So the first one says close, just like we did here. And the comparative would be closer, okay? And the superlative would be closest. Good. Look at number 3, careless. Would you say carelesser to compare? Or carelessest? I don't even know how to say that. No, you'd say more careless or most careless. Pretty typical of what we've been doing today, so you shouldn't have any problem with that. Let's look at number 6 really quick. It says lovable is a positive. Would the comparative be lovabler or lovablest? No, it would be more lovable or most lovable. So if we're saying 5th graders are lovable, okay, that's our positive. If we want to compare 5th graders to other graders, now we love everybody at Redeemer, but let's make up a grade. Let's make 15th grade. How's that? We could say Miss Bradshaw's 5th grade class are more lovable than the 15th grade class. There's no 15th grade class. I just didn't want to single out any of our real classes because we love all of our friends at Redeemer. And then superlative would be most lovable. Miss Bradshaw's 5th grade class is the most lovable class in the whole entire world. All right, so I leave you with that feel-good moment in your heart. You should not have any questions. If you do, you know, you can email me, you can text me, you can FaceTime with me. If I don't pick up right away or get back to you, it's because I'm either videoing a lesson at the time, or I'm grading, or I'm talking to another student. All right, so remember the power in language expressing ourselves. We want to do it as clearly and as precisely and concisely as we can. And so that's what's the importance and the power of language, and being able to use it well is a true blessing. All right, so do a good job. I have great faith in you, and I will talk to you soon.